Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn and prepare for another round of political theater courtesy of Zimbabwe's very own political elite. But this time, we are not talking about the usual drama. No, today's act involves the philanthropic endeavors of none other than Wicknell Chivayo, a man whose name has become synonymous with corruption, questionable tenders, and now, according to President Emmerson Mnangagwa, the title of philanthropist. Hold up, let's pause and take a moment to unpack that. A philanthropist? Are we really going to let the word philanthropy get hijacked by a man who has built his empire on dodgy deals and fancy cars? If that's the bar for philanthropy, then I suppose drug lords are just misunderstood community organizers. But let's give Mnangagwa the benefit of doubt. Maybe he's been reading too many fairy tales where the villain ends up the hero. Perhaps he thinks that by calling Chivayo a philanthropist, we are supposed to forget the massive corruption charges that follow him like a shadow. Maybe the flashy suits and public displays of wealth are enough to convince the public that he is some sort of charitable angel. But don't be fooled, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't philanthropy. It's politics at its finest. Patronage masquerading as charity. Let's break it down. Patronage, for those of you still clinging to the idea of altruistic giving, is a far cry from philanthropy. It's not about helping the masses or addressing society's deep-rooted issues. Patronage is about sustaining power, making sure that those in charge stay in charge, and making sure your bank account grows fat in the process. And that's exactly what we are dealing with here. Chivayo's generosity isn't aimed at uplifting the masses. No, it's aimed at securing loyalty. It's a political strategy designed to reward the faithful, especially those who owe their survival in the system to his financial largesse. Cars, cash, and trinkets get handed out like candy to ZANU-PF loyalists, all in the name of keeping the power structure intact. The poor and the struggling Zimbabweans, they get the leftovers, while the rest of the country deals with the aftermath of Chivayo's tender deals. Those sweet, sweet tenders that keep lining his pockets. Now, let's talk about the global philanthropist label which Chivayo seems to have claimed for himself. Seriously? Hailing him as a member of the Global Philanthropy League alongside giants like Bill Gates and Aliko Dangote is not only misleading, it's an outright insult to those who actually give to the betterment of humanity. Real philanthropists invest in systematic change, fighting poverty, improving healthcare, education, and livelihoods. They use their resources to lift entire communities, not just to show up their own political power. Chivayo, on the other hand, uses his wealth to reinforce a broken system, offering donations that keep people dependent on his goodwill and his political connections. The money, the cars, the gifts, all of it goes to the people who owe their success to him, or worse, people he is trying to recruit into the network of influence. This is not charity. This is just another transaction in the game of power and influence. Let's be clear. True philanthropy isn't about creating a personal brand. It's not about ego trips and luxury cars. It's about tackling the big issues, which are poverty, inequality, and corruption. It's about creating opportunities for the most vulnerable, not the most politically connected. So when we hear the word philanthropist thrown around in the same sentence as Chivayo, it's not just misleading, it's offensive to anyone who has ever truly given for the greater good. So Zimbabwe, let's not buy into this smoke and mirrors routine. Wicknell Chivayo is not a philanthropist. He is a product of patronage, propped up by a system that rewards the few while the many continue to struggle. Let's not allow the government to gaslight us into believing that a man whose wealth was built on corruption is somehow contributing to the common good. This isn't about charity. It's about keeping a corrupt regime in power. You cannot put Chivayo and Strive Masiwa in the same league. Strive is a philanthropist. Chivayo is a thug and a criminal. Period. If Chivayo's philanthropy is the kind of philanthropy we are supposed to celebrate, then perhaps we should start redefining what helping the people really means. But until then, let's call it what it is, a power play, not a public service. And remember, if you want more truth, more hard-hitting commentary, and more of the stories they don't want you to hear, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay informed, stay woke, and always keep challenging the narrative. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ma Wicknell.
Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya Wicknell. Iyera ari muhomwe ye Chigananda. Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe. Ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika hii. Iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe. Iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere. Mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Padukuduku vara